think I'll kick off with some questions. If you guys have any questions, feel free to stand behind the mic, then we'll get to you. So just a very general question to all. The average age on this panel seems like very young. Yeah. So how do you guys respond if, let's say, to negativity, be it a business partner, to an end user, investors, they will say things like, your idea will never work, okay? Or they'll say things like, you guys are so young, how are you in a position to advise me? Like this, especially for Ryan, right? Like, what can I learn from you? How can you value add to me? They'll say all these kind of things, and just a general feel about how you guys deal with negativity.
Right. I think there's, there's in the audience, a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs, seasoned professionals as well. I think when we do meet with investors and they usually come up to us and tell us, this idea is, has been implemented before, it's not going to work and all that kind of thing. We try and, my team and I, we strive on looking at the unique value proposition of the idea. Pitchspot has been running for almost a year now, and we've spent a good 6 months to kind of validate it. And, we have a very strong core reason why we want to pursue this idea. So I think that is what really sells, especially to our investors, to our stakeholders at NUS Enterprise, as well as at the NUS Overseas Colleges as well, since we were from my co-founder and my team members from there as well. We tell them that the reason why we want to do this is because there's 4 reasons why startups don't just pop out of thin air, don't kind of like, people don't pursue the startup life. First of which is because you have an idea, but you don't have the kind of skill sets to pursue it. Second is that you have the skill sets, but you don't have an idea. Third is that you don't have the resources or the directions to do so. And lastly is you don't have money. So we want to be able to solve these suite of problems with Pitchspot, hence Global Launchpad for Ideas. So we wanted to, when we say these things to investors or to our end users, they kind of go like, I agree with you, especially for end users, right? Because they have an idea, but they don't know how to code, perhaps. Like me, I'm a business guy, right? My co-founder is a techie, so we met and then in one of the hostels, and then we kind of a little story-ish, but not really. But so we met, and then we sought to solve this problem really. And this particular narrative kind of brings it across well.
I see. Zera, you have anything to add?
Yeah, so in terms of negativity, I think people are a lot more open if you ask them questions. And sometimes the people who are negative about an idea can be the people who give the best feedback, because if everyone just says, it's a great idea, yes, it's very hard to improve. So I met someone recently who told me that, and he was kind of in an angel investor capacity. He said, this to me seems like you're monetizing paranoia. And I told him, of course I understand, health is something that's very sensitive, so how would you go about doing this? Or what what do you think I can improve on? And I think these kinds of conversations can actually be quite formative in a sense if we take it in the right spirit. In terms of age and credibility, definitely I have some people saying that, you're so young, do you have experience? And to that, my only answer or the way that I cope is I try to do the preparation as best as I can, and then I deliver. I have formed a team, I have advisors, and I think the team is really important. So it's always important to tell the investors that, I'm not alone. Yes, I have a commercial advisory board, I have a scientific advisory board. I'm working with associations like the British Hair and Nail Society for myself. And these are things, actually, I think the ability to retain and attract talent, if investors can see that as a founder, you have the ability, then perhaps they will be more confident in one's credibility.
Okay, I guess we have one question. On your right, yeah. Maybe just introduce yourself and direct the question to whichever panelist.
Hi, I'm Justin. I'm currently serving my national service, unfortunately. My question is, given all the struggles you have faced in terms of bureaucracy, in terms of government regulations, have you thought about moving your business elsewhere? And if so, why do you decide to stay in Singapore as as a place to grow your business? And my second question would be, I think the Singapore government has been quite liberal in terms of giving out lots of startup grants and all that. Do you think flooding the market with startup grants and startup support has become too excessive?
I think that's a great question. I think it's directed at Haoming. So just to put it in context, aren't these types of regulations supposed to ensure that you do not take unfair advantage over your customers, over your suppliers, over your partners, and make sure that you don't abuse health standards or living standards, hygiene standards?
Right. Firstly, to address the part where you ask, with all these regulations and all that, why don't we move elsewhere, right? That's just taking the easy way out, because everywhere has different regulations. If I can do it this way in Singapore, doesn't mean I can do it the same way in Taiwan or in Malaysia or in Indonesia. Everywhere has their own challenges. So if you can't even overcome your own country's regulation, then there's really no point about going elsewhere or looking elsewhere, because it's going to happen the same way again. In fact, it's going to be harder because you don't understand their culture. So starting at home, why we did Artbox first at home in Singapore is because it should have been easier than any other countries. That's one. And of course, you asked me about regulations. They are placed there for a reason, to maintain certain standards and all that. I agree that. I fully agree with the fact that policies are there for a reason. But many a times, that one thing we realize is that a lot of these policies are placed or being set by people who are not the ones that actually are on the grounds. Basically, their understanding of the industry isn't hands-on, meaning that they don't actually know the processes that we have to go through just to get something done. So it might not be optimized. It's not that they're wrong to set all these policies, but it might not be optimized for business owner to actually run their business in the most optimized manner. That's one. And of course, the many regulations that Singapore has is insane. It really curbs creativity. You know, if you look out there into just neighboring countries like Thailand and all that, sure, it looks like their countries. It may not be as organized as how Singapore portrays itself to be, but honestly speaking, we are a lot more at an infant stage in terms of creativity as compared to such country. And the question is always, why is it like that? Even though we seem to be a lot more advanced in what we're doing. For example, in the retail industry, honestly, Singapore's retail climate is bad, right? And are we doing anything about it? Sure, maybe, but it is really, really slow the way we react because of all these regulations in place. Government agencies are not willing to stick their neck out to stand for something, right? They will wait for the next government agency to say that to poke their head out first, or they will just say that I only do something that has been done before. So, for example, I wanted to have a go-kart track at this year's Artbox. Never been done before in Marina Bay area, right? I appealed 3-4 times. I was being rejected. Every time I appeal for it, and the reason for it is that the noise level from the go-kart will be too high of a level. So I did the sound test for them as well. It's softer than a lawnmower. It's softer than a regular motorcycle on the road. Softer than Ultra Music Festival, way softer than Ultra Music Festival, right? And they said no, because it has never been done before. And immediately, within a day, I said, sure, fine, I'll just do bumper cars then. Immediately, within a day, it got approved because it's been done before. Is it safer? Not really. One of the bumper car flew out of the ring on the second weekend. Yeah, so is it safe? May not be. But they don't really... So putting all this policy out there to say that to keep certain standards, I get it, but blindly following them, that I don't understand, because every case or every if application should be viewed case by case in scenario, rather than just saying that there's a blanket policy across all board. Because every event or every single application that's being put in is a different kind of special case. And if it's talking about a blanket that covers everything, then you're saying that innovation isn't happening at all. It's just covering something that has been thought through before and been done before. So policies are meant to be disrupted if there's innovation. So we just being kept there. That's how I feel about that. I kind of a lot of emotion about this, because I went through months and months of heartache, debating with the different government agencies, be it for foreign vendors coming in, stating that, for example, they said that foreign vendors coming in to sell, they are not a tourist, they are selling something, they need to be applied through either employment pass or a work permit. But it's ridiculous. They are here for 3 days. They are not my employee. They if you ask me, I tried to apply, so I tried to abide by it. I actually said, sure, I will follow your rules and I'll try to apply. So which application am I supposed to apply? They said workers permit, but there's you only can apply for 12 workers permit. That's the quota max. I have 200 vendors. I say I can't work. That doesn't work. So they said, okay, try employment pass. I knew it would fail, but I said to humor the officer, I'm like, sure, let me apply. Before I even reach the 5th question, if I'm not wrong, it says that how much salary am I paying this person? It's not my employee, so I can't even complete the form. So I said, is there another pass that I can apply for it? Nope, there's no other pass I can apply. So I said, you don't give me a solution, then how am I as a business owner going to move forward with what I'm trying to do here in Singapore? And the answer, can you just not do your event? That was the answer. So, of course, I told them by hook or by crook, because I already applied for too many things, and this was 2 weeks before my event, after debating with them for 2 months, right? I said that, I'm so sorry, but everything has been set, everyone has bought their tickets. I'm just going to prepare myself for court to get basically a summon to go to court. I told them I don't really care anymore. So, that's how it is. But in the end,
I think we have just enough time for a last question.
Yeah, Haoming, very well said, and I believe Henry was slightly sarcastic in his praise of regulation there, but your remarks after that have been very heartwarming. Now, I just want to ask you, now what do you have to say to people who don't understand business and they feel a little bit entitled to your profits? Hey, he's making all these profits. He should be sharing them around with people, Profit is evil. Profit is this spare money. What do you say to people that don't understand that you need the profits from this to go towards future ventures? These profits is what help you create more wealth. What do you have to say to those people?
Well, profits are resources that we use to expand the business, to do bigger stuff, to go into bring better content, for example, to hire more people to do bigger events, for example. So we're not a social. Outright, I'll just tell you, I'm not a social enterprise. So I am for profit at the end of the day. I think going into business, if you go into business aiming for zero profit, then what are you doing? I don't even know where to go on from there. Like, what do you mean that you want to go into business for then? Unless you want to go do charity, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But you have to know why are you even going into it in the first place, right? If the first thing is that, okay, this is for profit, then he has to be profitable. If not, something is wrong. But that does not mean that you can't give back, right? It has to be reasonable as well. So if you making profit and using that profit to expand on whatever you're trying to do, to include as many people as possible, to improve on the standards that you're trying to bring to people, or the public that you're trying to impact, or your target audience, for example, then sure, I think there's nothing wrong with that. So profit is being shared by the people in some way. So from first year to second year, first year I did not have much profit, but I did have some. But we used that to hire more people, to actually created a bigger event, 3 times bigger on the second year, which actually made more profits, yes, but that goes back to the economy by actually hiring more people, and as well as impacting more people's life. I had more vendors coming on board in the second year, and I created a platform that was larger, which can accommodated double the size of vendors. When these people are trying to start up, right, they didn't have a platform. An Artbox became that platform for them where they knew that as someone trying to start up a business, there's always fears going into it. Like, will it work? Will it not work? I'm so comfortable in whatever I'm doing. Should I go into this right now? Artbox gave all these small businesses that confidence that at least they know that 700,000 people are coming, 700,000 people are going to see your products. Whether or not it works, that is a place where you know that at least the confidence is there, is that I get to test it and at least know that there's some sort of guarantee in it. Without profit, there would not there would not have been this platform at all. So right from the start, I knew I was for profit, but it is for a good cause anyway, whether or not for personal or for the greater good. There's a lot of debate to that.
Okay, I think we are kind of running out of time. I'll just end it with with each of you saying that what do you envision the future of entrepreneurship in Singapore? How do you foresee entrepreneurship in Singapore? What's next for entrepreneurs in Singapore? Will there be entrepreneurs in Singapore anyway? Maybe I start with Zera. Yeah.
I think the future for entrepreneurship in Singapore is really bright. I foresee more and more accelerators coming here, and also talent programs. So for example, I know that Entrepreneur First has just opened in Singapore. They are very well known in Europe. And I think more platforms like these will mean that there will gradually be a transition to people embarking on entrepreneurship earlier on, for example, maybe even in JC or when they have just started university. So yeah, that is how I foresee things in Singapore, and yeah, I'm really excited about it.
Oh, hello. Yep. I believe that the future of entrepreneurship in Singapore is actually quite bright. I mean, on the flip side of working with government agencies, we've been working with AVA and they've been really supportive of us. I'm sure that, there are a lot of agencies that are not that easy to work with. And actually the interesting thing was that we actually wanted to start our first farm in Macau, except the government did not, there wasn't any rules or regulations for farming in Macau. So the casinos were interested, but the government was sort of supportive, and there was too much red tape to actually go through. And in the end, the China started clamping down on corruption at that time. So casinos didn't have the time or money to invest in these side projects, which is the reason why we actually came back to Singapore to build the farm. So for Singapore-wise, I believe that although there are regulations down here, it may be a bit stifling, but at least there is the base infrastructure and platform for businesses to grow. So yeah, I do believe it's actually quite positive.
Yeah, so the future of entrepreneurship, I think it's promising, but I think people just have to take the step outside the comfort zone, move fast, break things and learn from it a little bit. There's no like, it's okay to fail sometimes. 9 in 10 startups fail. Here at Pitchspot, we try and reduce that. But at the same time, we want people to try, because if you don't try, you don't know. And yeah, it's promising. I would say it's mutually supportive ecosystem. Really, you got different service providers, your investors, your different stakeholders. 6 degrees of separation, and one person can link you to another person who can actually add value to your venture. And yeah, this is the role that we see ourselves in, or at least for myself. Yeah.
Thanks. So future entrepreneurship, really, I would say, besides government and all that, but I think that, yeah, it will, as time go by, become better because of parenting as well. I really feel that, more and more parents are getting less conventional in their thinking, and that helps a lot because it's really about the upbringing that I feel that how come Singapore is so slow in having people coming out of their comfort zone to say that, yeah, I want to take on entrepreneurship. Because of, since we're a child, parents or the surrounding or the society tells you that if you don't do this, you're going to fail. If you don't do this, you might not get into this school. And you might not be a doctor, you might not be a lawyer or in banking. So it's always been instilled in our mind that that is how it should be. And because of that fear that's being built up right from when you're just a kid trying to walk, it's difficult for people to say that, to take that leap of faith when they're older as an adult. But times are changing. Parenting or the society is becoming more open to trying and failing, and giving people the chance to actually step out of their comfort zone. I think more and more sandbox environments are being built to allow entrepreneurship to thrive in. So for sure, it will slowly get better. But really, of course, resources needs to be put into this to accelerate this growth. But yeah, promising for sure.
Okay, another round of applause for our panelists, Zera, Ray, Ryan, and Haoming.